Today is the 13th day of December 2014, and I'm very pleased to have Kiran with us to talk about his work and his life. Kiran, welcome. Welcome.
Welcome.
So maybe we could begin with your family. Did anyone have any contact with Sri Aurobindo or mother?
With the mother, yes.
Yes?
In 1958, my father first came to Pondicherry, and he was very much attracted by the ashram, and he decided that this is the place where I want to settle down. That was the time when the sugar mill was being built, and he was given the charge of the construction of sugar
New
mill.
Horizon.
New
was it,
Horizon
eh?
sugar mill,
Yes.
that's right.
Mhm.
So that's how he sort of got settled in Pondicherry in 1958. And the next year, he thought, okay, I should bring my family in here. So in 1959, we came.
Oh,
February 1959. So as my parents, my brother and myself, four of us, we came here.
I see. Wow. So how old were you? 59?
I was 9 years old. And that time, basically, I'm going back now a little bit because it might be quite interesting for you to know that. All right. My Udar was, the ashram was given the responsibility of doing the infrastructure work for the New Horizon sugar mill. Udar was in charge, and he wanted somebody who could be on the ground to sort of take up the responsibility. So my father happened to come at that time, and he was given the responsibility of the infrastructure work.
Was he a structural engineer?
No, he was not.
No.
He was not. But
Just
they found him to be suitable for the job.
Ah.
Udar found him, and he was given the responsibility. So for about 2 years or so, he was one of the only one on the ground level at that time who had this big responsibility of bringing up the buildings and setting up the basic infrastructure. And when the sugar mill was completed, mother had been there for the inauguration, and gold medals were given to the people who were closely involved with the work. And he was one of the one who was given by the mother gold medal. So in those days, you took it from the mother, but it was again returned to her as an offering.
Oh.
So he gave it back to the mother as an offering. And then again, there was another occasion when he was given a gold medal by the mother, and that time he kept it as a souvenir. So that gold medal, which was given by the mother, is still there with us in the family.
What is your first? What are your first memories of seeing mother? Of course, you're only 9 years old.
Yeah, correct. We were very young. See, as a child, you get impressed about the physical education activities around the ashram here, and you feel also immediately, I would say, a certain atmosphere which was very different from the atmosphere of the city I came in. We came in from Bangalore. So, big city, very nice compared to Pondicherry, but there was something special here in the atmosphere which, even as a child, I could see, it was something that appealed to us. So my father was wondering whether the children will get, will be interested in staying here, but there was no question. We were, spontaneously drawn to this, and we stayed here. And the interesting thing is, we came in February, and 2 months later, we used to visit tennis ground where Pranabda was taking physical education activities, and he was taking boxing, So brother and myself, he was 7 years old, I was 8 to 9 years old. We used to just hold hand and come to the tennis ground and watch the boxing going on. And when the boxing was going on, we used to say, hey, hit him on the head, below here, and then guard yourself well, and all kinds of comments we used to sort of make. And Pranabda used to see, okay, what these boys, they seem to be pretty much interested. And we became friends. And he found out that we are here to settle down. So he asked me, I'm just 9 years old, and he asked me, would you like to join the group? I said yes, very much. So okay, then you come tomorrow. I'll take you to the group. So next day, my brother and myself, we came in our civil clothes. So from tennis ground, we were in tennis ground. He sort of took us to the playground and said, okay, there you are. From today, you are there in the group. It was as simple as that in those days.
Well, I have many, many questions to ask you about your remembrances of Pranab and other ashramites, but let's talk first about your father and the work he was doing after New Horizon.
After New Horizon Sugar Mills, my father was given the work of paint factory. Udar had started a paint factory, and he was given in a small scale. So he was given the responsibility of manufacturing paints and varnishes. So the ingredients were imported. They basically a question mixing them in the right proportion and doing something that was up to the mark. And he used to read and put the things together.
Now you and your brother were in boarding?
No, we were staying with our parents.
With your parents?
Yeah, and our parents used to go for work to the New Horizon Sugar Mill in the morning, and they would come back in the evening, and we were there in the house alone for a while, and it was difficult. So when mother was informed about this difficulty, she said that, okay, we will make arrangement for them for the dining room food. And that's how gradually we got integrated with the ashram.
And when we've heard from so many people that they had access to Mother all day, morning, noon, and night.
Yes.
Did you go to her also?
Well, we came in 1959. By that time, it was not so easy for us to sort of go and see the mother. A 9-year-old, unless you have some specific reason to go there, you would not go there. But I was very lucky because I remember in 1958, from 1958, mother had stopped coming out for tennis.
Right.
But it so happened that in February when we came, we were told, okay, mother is going to play tennis. So we were all made to sit around the court over there to watch her play. That's how it was in those days. But unfortunately, she did not play that day.
When did you see her? On your birthday, surely?
Yes. All birthdays we used to go there. We used to write to her. In our broken French, we were supposed to write in French to the mother, right?
Yeah.
And there's no question of talking in French, but at least, I could sort of scribble something in short time with the help of some people that I would like to come and see you and seek your blessings. And she would invariably say yes, and we had, there's something interesting. In those days, in 1959, I started learning French. We were taught French, and our French teacher used to sort of give dictation and all that, and our books were sent to the mother. And she would sometimes correct them, and they would give us points, blue points, yellow points, red points, depending on how we performed. So I still have 1 or 2 of those books with me.
What was it like for you to go before Mother? You were getting older too, and you could see her on your birthday even into the 60s.
Again, at 9, you still don't realize the divinity of the mother, I must say. Excuse me. But instinctively, you would feel that she is somebody special, that you communicate more with your heart and love than by mentally articulating things. So we would go to the mother, and sometimes we used to also ask her some questions in our very simple way whenever necessary. Like I wanted to eat in the dining room, very, very simple thing. My mother was sort of working, going with my father to the New Horizon Sugar Mill, and I just mumbled that, je voudrais manger à la salle à manger, est-ce que je peux avoir ta permission? Then I don't know how much she understood of my French. She nodded. But then after some time, we were given the permission to eat in the dining room. So like that, a few things every now and then.
Now, we fast forward 10 years. You're 19 years old, and it's 1969.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're almost 20,
Yes,
going before Mother on your birthday. What did you feel then?
Oh, see, by that time, there's something in you that realizes, that there are higher thing in life, and that, you have read the Mother, you have read Aurobindo, and mentally you are definitely more open in understanding who Aurobindo and the Mother are. So we always approached her with this very sense of, trying to see what is that behind the physical, It's not only the physical, but, much more than that. That attempt was there to some extent. So with that, we used to go there, and it was an attempt to open ourselves so that, we could get the best we could from the Mother. That was the whole thing.
Do you remember your last birthdays with her?
Oh, yes, very much.
Can you
Very
tell
much.
a little bit about that?
You see, in those days, we used to get an appointment to see the Mother, and there were so many people, 30 of them or something like that. So it used to go pretty fast. We didn't get much time to sort of sit there quietly and, calm our mind the way it should be done really properly. But we went there because it was very special, an occasion that we should not miss. And she had probably 45 minutes that she could spare. So we used to sort of do it pretty fast as such.
And she would give you a card.
And she would give us a card signed by her personally. So I wonder how much work she would be doing, behind the scene, like signing the cards and remembering the names. That was really incredible.
And she would greet you with?
Always with a smile. Always with a smile. And although towards when I was 19, she was not physically the way she was, much earlier, but she would still, try to understand us. But she was always like the Divine Mother for us.
Now, when did you start doing some work after your schooling?
You see, in 1972, I finished my studies at Knowledge. But before I finished my studies, I was asked by one of the senior Ashramites, stating that, see, Mother wants to open a new department where they would take care of manuscripts of Aurobindo and the Mother. Would you like to be part of the department? So I said, yes, definitely. That was even before I finished my studies, 3 to 4 months before I finished my studies. So that's when I committed myself to staying here, although I always wanted to stay here.
Oh.
So that matter was sort of told to the Mother, yes, he is interested in staying here and he would be wanting to be part of the department. There was another boy, Kamal Shah. He was also part of the team. So after the studies were over, on the 1st of November, both myself and Kamal Shah, we were sent to the Mother, stating that, see, you will be going to Delhi for 1.5 months training to get an exposure in the way the archives function, the way they take care of manuscripts, the way the microfilming is done, and so on and so forth. So we went, that was 1972 November. We had the blessings of the Mother, and the next day we sort of proceeded to Delhi for the training. So that's when we joined the archives, 1972 November 1st, officially, so to say.
To go back a little bit, can you share some experiences at Knowledge and your teachers there?
Yeah, sure.
Jugal must have been there at that time.
Yes, absolutely.
Of
See,
course.
Jugalda was my, I would say, favorite teacher, so to say, because he was not only teaching us physics and all that, but I used to study Savitri with him, and I went through twice with him on the Savitri. And I used to ask all the questions that used to occur to me when reading the Savitri. And things like, when I told him, like, look, it's very strange. When I read Savitri on a regular basis, I feel as though their portion I'm reciting mantras and all that. So he would sort of give me sense of meaning of it, why this is like that. I mean, he would explain to me everything. And the references that he would give me, then I'll go and look up the references. And it was so interesting that although I finished reading Savitri with him once, I said I would like to do it once again with you. So he said he was more than happy. Yes, come, we will do it together. And then we took it up in a different angle. So by the time I finished knowledge, I must have read Savitri at least 2 times over.
Did you keep any of the notes that you made that he told you to look up?
No, it was basically an oral thing. You would say, read up this particular amount, come, and if you have any particular questions, you can ask me, and then we can sort of discuss on the issue. So it was basically discussion, so very little of writing. Writing only when I had certain notes or questions that I had to sort of ask him, which otherwise I would forget.
And what other teachers did you have?
See, in 1962, free progress system had started. Okay, that was like, 3 years after I came. And we were about 7 or 8 of us. And I was one of them that mother chose to be part of the experiment in the free progress system.
I see. Oh, I want to hear all about this. This is very important. Because I know Tanmay was involved.
Yes.
So please talk about him and the whole free progress system. What was it and how did it begin?
I'll tell you as much as I know, because
Yes.
there are many perspectives to the whole thing. So as a child, who is just like, 12 years old, what happened? We were told that, look, there is a new experiment we're going to try on the lines of the mother's teachings. And some names were sent to the mother, and yours is one of the names which was sort of selected by the mother. I said, fine. If mother has selected that, there is no question to be asked, And Tanmaya, that is Monsieur Remo, would be in charge of the whole thing. And the free progress system would be named Vers la Perfection, towards the perfection. That's the name officially given. So Tanmayda, that is Monsieur Remo, was in charge. We had Padma, and then Jean-Pierre came in later on, and a few other teachers were there. So this was a free progress system, an experiment that was to be tried, and that Monsieur Remo, or his Indian name was Tanmaya, he would prepare certain sheets. He said that, okay, this is what we need to teach the children during the first day. We will leave it up to them to go at their own pace. If somebody wants to do the course, fast, then they can do it fast. Somebody wants to take more time, they can do the thing, in let's say 1.5 years or 2 years. So that way courses were designed so that each child could sort of proceed according to his or her own speed and interest. So that I found very interesting. I was basically science and a science student. So the cards were made with mathematical formulas and all that. So something that you would normally take 1 year, I used to finish in half a year, because that was what was very interesting. So ultimately I said, okay, you slow down. You now concentrate on some other things. I need time to sort of, prepare the notes and all that. And then when we grew up a little bit, I was always one class ahead in science. But mathematics, I was one class lower, because for some technical reason, we could not proceed that fast. But for science, you need to have mathematics, because without mathematics, derivatives and all that thing, you cannot really understand science. So I was brought down from higher class to low class, so that, others who were sort of following me, I could be part of the team, and then we all go together. But what I mean to say is that we were given the full freedom to proceed at the pace that we wanted. And that was something very good. But I think there was something about that which not everybody would agree with me, but I felt that. When a child is about 12 years old, the person would not know what is good for him necessarily, right? We were interested in science, mathematics on the side. I want to study science. But mathematics is an integral part of it. So you can't go that fast. You have to stop, then come back again to learn the mathematics. So some of these things, and again, I thought English and French and all that I will learn afterwards. It can wait. Mathematics and science are very important. I have to give my full energy. But there was nobody to really push me a little bit. You need a certain push at times, not always, but sometimes.
At that age.
At that age,
yes.
because you don't understand everything. So because the system was free, we didn't have that. And because that was not there, that little push once in a while in the right direction, sometimes some people just lost interest. But otherwise, once a child becomes self-conscious and knows, and say around the age of 17 or 18, their system is perfect. But before that, you need a certain strong guidance. Even if I say, no, I'm not interested in grammar, for example. How can you not be interested in the grammar and want to master a language? You really need to do that, right? So somebody should be there good enough to make you understand and sort of push you in a direction that, no, you should learn grammar properly, then only you know the language. So these things were sometimes missing, as far as I was concerned. Our group was concerned. So what happened that, sometimes when we didn't have this thing, later on we realized, oh man, I should have learned, the grammar well, or I should have learned the mathematics well. Whereas in the normal structured way classes, it has been all thought about. The child does not have to think. It has been thought about by professionals, and you just follow the course and everything goes smoothly.
It's a program.
It's a program.
Yes.
So this is the difference between the two.
Interesting. And who were your other favorite teachers in the free progress system, other than Jugal?
Jugal was in knowledge. But
Yeah.
in the school we had Krishna Kumari, who was also, very good. Mrityunjoy. He was also one of our teachers, and Mohini Ben. And these were all, But we look forward to Kirit Joshi. Kirit Joshi used to take our philosophy class from time to time.
Oh.
He was very good, very good. You felt that philosophy can be very dry and dull. Philosophy per se as it is, but when you do philosophy, especially with respect to the teaching of Aurobindo, it has a certain reality of it, because you have Western philosophy and you have Eastern philosophy. Western philosophy have a lot of mental juggling that goes on. You discuss certain thing, you think about it. In Indian philosophy, there's a lot about the psychic experience which is sort of explained over there. And that sort of has a resonance within you. And that Kirit Joshi used to explain to us very nicely. And I found that very, very interesting.
Now, about your work. Let's continue on. So you went to Delhi to study about archives, and from there.
So we were there for about 1.5 months, and we saw, we got exposure to the way the manuscript was sort of treated, how you have to take care of the manuscript, what is to be done, and also in terms of microfilming, what is microfilming, how it is to be done, and so on and so forth. But for many of these things, in order to be good at it, you need to have experience. So that we didn't have an opportunity to learn. We just saw the exposure, basically how it is, some very rudimentary training in the preservation of manuscripts, what are the materials to be used, and then we came back. So after we came back, we had no equipment, nothing. It has to be started from the scratch. And department was not officially a building. We were working with Jayantilal. There were 2 or 3 rooms being constructed at the archives. So I had to go out, and we were sort of working wherever the place was there. So for the first year, Peter was working. We had 4 or 5 of us, myself and Kamal. We were sort of taken from knowledge for the department. And since archives did not exist before that, there was what is known as Sri Aurobindo Birth Centenary Library. That was a collection of volumes that was being brought out by the Ashram of Sri Aurobindo's works. So there Peter was working there. And then we had Shanta and 1 or 2 other people. That's it. Yeah. So many of them were working part-time. So we started with that in the first year, but not together as a department. You know, each one was working their own way. We only, as far as I remember, it was only Kamal and myself who were actually part of the archives as such when it got started. Then, since Peter was there already doing something about he was working with Birth Centennial Library. I'm talking about 72 and early 73.
This is SABCL.
SABCL, that's correct.
Right.
Sri Aurobindo Birth Centenary Library.
30,
He was pulled
32 volumes.
32
wasn't it?
volumes. Yep, that's it. And he came in, we two were there, Shanta came in, Shipra was another person. So we found a team that became the core of the archives. I would say that took shape sometime in the middle of, if I remember correctly, 73 or so. And just after it took shape, Bob came in.
Okay.
And then we had Richard and Susan coming slightly later on after a couple of years, you know. And then it started expanding. But the core team was there for the first 10 years, and we had done a lot of work at that time. So coming back again to the archives, see, before you do any preservation work, it is imperative that, you know, we microfilm the whole thing. Because if some manuscripts are misplaced or something goes wrong, you know, you have a record of it. So who's going to do it? I was thinking that I'll be doing editorial work and all the other works, but there was nobody else. So I was asked, okay, would you like to sort of get started with it? I said, all right. I had very little experience in photography, but we had to learn ourselves. And that's what we did. And it took us about 10 years to microfilm most of Sri Aurobindo's and Mother's manuscript that were there at that time. And before microfilming, you have to process the paper, right? What are we going to microfilm? What is going to be there in the microfilm? And so on and so forth. So that we made a team. We had Peter, we had Susan, and there were 2 or 3 other people who sort of prepared the whole matter. They gave it to me. Then I made sure how it sort of fitted in properly. I exposed them, got them developed, and so on. So the work went on like that for the first 10 years.
So you were actually handling the original manuscripts of Sri Aurobindo.
Yes, very much. We were very lucky to do that. But we were also told that don't try to read everything that is there. Because there was something that should not be read. And it will be read only by the editors or the few people who are there.
Must have been such an experience for you.
It is. We had to be very, very careful, handle as careful as we can. And we always thought, you know, we are so lucky to handle it, hoping that something of that would enter us and, you know, we will change and not remain the same old matter that, you know.
Kiran, when did the cold storage begin? And tell us a bit about what cold storage is.
Yeah, okay. Since we are talking about the archives, I might as well give you a broad idea of the archives. Please. But since you asked me this particular question, I will
can get back to it as you like.
No, I'll answer your question.
Okay.
There was always, right from the beginning, a need for a cold storage. When I came back from Delhi and realized that there's so much to be done, people are always asking, saying that we have to preserve this manuscript, we have to restore this manuscript. But I realized that restoration is a very, very slow process.
Yes.
You need experience, it takes time, so if you want to, repair a page, it might take you 15 days if you want to do a good job out of it. So that's not possible for us to do with all this manuscripts. So what is to be done? So, and we are novices, we don't know anything about how to go about. But common sense, you make use of the common sense and say, look, we have this, say, 25,000 manuscripts over there, we need to do something about it, how to go about doing these things. So I wrote to, and then sometimes you're not sure, you have the answer, but you're not sure.
Yeah.
So I wrote to the British Museum, finally, after having talked to several people, that we have manuscripts, we have photographs, we have negatives, and so much work needs to be done. What is the best way to preserve them? So they said that, look, I see now that you sort of explained to me, because I wrote a long letter, we feel that the best thing is you store them in a good, in a place where there is temperature control and relative humidity control, and make sure there are no insects there. Because in India, the temperature is such that you have mold, mildew, insects, heat. All these are enemies of the manuscripts. So a cold storage is a necessity, we realized then. So we were talking to Jayantilal. Jayantilal was our director, that we need to have a cold storage. So he was pressing the mother in the very beginning. I think he spoke to the mother. And later on, we continued to push for a cold storage for the archives. So ultimately what happened, that in the ashram, there were 2 cold storages at that time to store fruits for the mother and Aurobindo. And some of them were also kept for the sadhaks also. So we said, why 2? Okay, in 1973, the mother left her body. So we said after that, do you really need 2 now? Whatever is there, one can be used for the disciples, the other one probably you can give it to us. Initially, there was a certain resistance, but with the pressure, they realized the importance of the whole thing. And they said, okay, we'll give you 1 cold storage where we are storing fruit, the storage which is there downstairs. That was about 20 years afterwards. So I don't remember the exact date, but 72, I think around the 80s, we were given the consent. And the room was given. So the first time the room was going to be given, Jayantilal asked me to go and see. Okay, go and have a look at the cold storage over there. What do you think about it and all? So I went in there, and what do I see? I see grapes are hanging over there, and some other fruits, apples are hanging, with a string. They have their own way of hanging. Everything, all the fruits hanging over there. So he said, okay, look, this is what we have, and you can take this. Fine, I said. Something is better than nothing. We get started with that. I spoke to Jayantilal about the whole issue. He came. We all went there and saw the place. And we spoke to Vishwanath about this. That look, there had been all these fruits over there. How to go about to convert it into a proper cold storage. So what he did was he said, look, one of the principal thing is you have to make sure that no humidity or vapor comes inside from outside inside. So some kind of a basic vapor barrier was already in place. So you don't have to do much. So he's scraped the whole place, made it clean, and we got it painted, and then cold storage was ready, the first cold storage. The first avatar of the cold storage was ready by that time. So we had cabinets, so we started putting it. But once it was not clean, it was pretty good actually. But it was just like an AC running 24 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But it has to be, the temperature needs to be controlled. The shelves were made of wood. It should be steel because the wood gives out vapor. And you have all these things to be taken into account, because by that time we had made our studies, and we had told the trustees in innumerable way that we need to have a proper cold storage. So this cold storage was too small for us. We needed to have a bigger one. So one was decided where Grace office is situated.
Oh.
So that's where we were going there, and there was a big place. We were going to make one over there. And when people came to know, there was a hue and cry. How can you put manuscripts of the Mother and Aurobindo outside the ashram? Should not be doing it. There was a hue and cry. There was a lot of resistance to it. And we saw reason to that. Because we ourselves wanted it within the ashram, and the trustees could not give it. But when the whole matter, the pressure rose and there was resistance, and the matter was put once again before the trustees, then they yielded. They said, okay, we will give you this room and because the existing cold storage was there, but we need one extra room to have more material put over there. So the room where the trustees were having their meeting was also given to us. So that whole place was ultimately handed over to us.
By Prosperity.
Yes.
We're talking about the cold storage by Prosperity?
Yeah, that was the original fruit cold storage. But in front of that, there was a room where the trustees used to have a meeting. Not the side, not the one to the east, but to the south.
Mm-hmm.
So that room was given to us. So both these rooms, we got it converted. We put, we made studies, and a professional, up-to-date cold storage was made by using the best material that is there. So I believe, based on the feedback we've got, that this is one of the best cold storage which is there in India at the moment. A lot of money was spent to make it sure that we have a proper. So it's a stainless steel box,
Yeah.
with vapor barrier and temperature control, humidity control, and all that. By the side of it, we have a sort of workroom where we can take out the manuscript, do some work, and put them back again, making sure the temperature is the same at the moment. But ultimately, we'll bring it down when the work is over.
So for years and years, the manuscripts were just kept on shelves.
Yeah, see, you should remember that there was no organized place where the whole thing was sort of put there. A lot of stuff was there with Nalinida, Champaklal. Then correspondences were there with various people. So when the archives was first formed, I mean, people didn't want to give it. Why should I give something so precious? I want to keep it with me. It's a memory. But then they saw the work that we are doing. They understood the importance of an archive. They understood that, okay, after them it has to be sort of stored properly. Somebody should take care. And also the fact that we were bringing out the collected works of Aurobindo, that we needed to go back to the thing. So Nalinda was sort of requested. We wrote a letter to Nalinda saying that if you could give whatever manuscripts you have, then we will arrange them, number them, we will microfilm them, keep them properly in the cold storage, now that we have cold storage. So it took about 10 years' time, I would say, for people to realize that, yes, this is something serious, they're doing good work, and we need to give. So gradually it started coming. For example, when 73, when I started doing microfilming work, one of the first people to give was Amal Kiran.
Uh-huh.
So because others were not giving so easily. So he gave us 15 pages, and then I microfilmed 15 pages. But we knew he had hundreds of them. So when you do the microfilm work, you need to have the whole thing together so that it can be a stretch of thing and it's all together. But he would give something in the middle, then somebody else would give something in the middle, and somebody else would give. So little bits of pieces and pieces were there all over, and it was a headache to put them together. So I had to re-microfilm the whole thing again after, let's say, 3 years when the whole correspondence came. So in the beginning, it was more like, test, trial, error, and we perfected. I would say it took us about 4 or 5 years to get the hang of the microfilming. And then the whole thing started moving well. We got some new equipment in course of time from Japan, and that helped us to do a good job.
What was it, microfilming equipment?
Yeah, that was a microfilming camera, Hirakawa, Japanese camera. It was well known at the time, and it still is. And the whole exercise of microfilming, the major portion was done using this new camera. Before that, in 1956 or so, when this issue was first probably raised, that we should preserve the manuscripts, Vishwanath had already started some experiments in microfilming. Vishwanath. So when the archive started, I received a few films that he had taken with a Graflex camera. It was an old-time camera.
I remember that. Yes.
And
so these were really negatives.
These were negatives. Yeah. So the microfilms you have today that I have taken, if they're kept properly, they should last under 300 years without much of a problem.
I see.
Yeah. But again, now coming back to the archives, after microfilming, what we decided was, as the digital age came in, we decided to scan all the manuscripts. So that work is also sort of going on still. We have scanned thousands of them, and then the work is going on.
And you have plate scanners or hand scanners?
No. These are professional scanners.
All professional scanners.
There we are not making any compromise in terms of quality.
But one must have to be very careful with the manuscripts.
Absolutely. There's a lot of work going on which people wouldn't know because we are working inside, and we don't need to really explain to everybody what we are doing. But there's a lot of serious work going on and good work going on. We have talked about manuscripts. See, after you scan, you give a reference number to each and every manuscript. It is known as the accession number. And you say, for example, that I would like to see these manuscripts of let's say a particular play or a poem. You give the name, we will know exactly where the manuscript kept, whether we have the scan, and if the scan is there, where the scan is kept. And all those information are being put gradually in place so that you come there and we should be able to give you whatever you want without much of a problem. So the organization takes a long time. Same thing we are doing with photograph. I am basically looking after the photographs. So same thing with the photograph. We have scanned already probably about 70,000 photographs, and they are there on the computer. And we have a small program where, suppose you say, I want to see some photograph of Narad. So just put photograph Narad, you type Narad, then whatever photographs are being scanned over there, I can just see it within a fraction of a second.
So
All thumbnail, yeah. There's a program just, and then it will also tell me that where is the photograph kept, where is the negative kept. So these things have been worked out, and some of it is already in place. Some more is going to be in place in the next couple of years. That's the whole idea. But not only that, our ultimate aim, which I don't know whether it will be possible in my lifetime, but the whole aim is, suppose I say, somebody comes and tells me that, do you have any information about Alexander David Neil? You type in on the computer, Alexander David Neil, and you will have photos coming. Then you say, did she have any correspondence with the mother Aurobindo? So we will have a relational database, which will say that correspondence. Yeah, there is correspondence. So do you have a sketch of him? Or say sketch. So art gallery, it will be linked to the art gallery database. So we'll know whether we have a sketch of the person concerned. Same thing with Hollenberg. So suppose you put in there, do you have a photograph of Hollenberg who drew that painting of Aurobindo? So which is the painting that he did? And all this information are being put in place so that tomorrow somebody comes and wants to do a proper research, we will be able to help them in a way they could not have imagined, let's say, 5 years back. 5 years back.
Now you just said, I don't know if it will happen in my lifetime.
Yeah. Well, you see,
is it such a huge work?
Yeah. There are two aspects to it. One is you need to scan them all, put the information, like what we are doing. I'll tell you about the photograph. Manuscript work is done. I gave you a rough idea regarding the photograph where I'm involved. See, we scan the photographs and the negative, and then it goes into the computer. But very often, when the photographs or negative come to us, we don't know who the person is. How do you find out? So if we guess, okay, maybe it is related to this family or this place, we go and catch the respective person, try to bring them there, and try to find out the details about it. And that's how we enter the information into the computer. But there are issues like, the person might have failing memories, or would have made a wrong guess. So what do you do? Tomorrow you publish a book, you say, archives gave me this photograph, they said that this is the person, so archives is to be blamed? It's very difficult. So what we do is that, suppose somebody comes and tells us, then we will just put it that the information as given by such a such person. It is for you to sort of draw the conclusion. So all this work is going on at the moment.
Are you still getting letters of Sri Aurobindo and Mother?
Correspondence, a lot of correspondence has already come to us, and some of it will probably come in course of time, as and when people feel like giving.
Now, we'll take a few minutes break,